I see, looks like you're downtown somewhere with the view out there. Where are you at now?
Yeah, I'm in downtown Chicago. I was born and raised here, so it's nice to. I was living overseas for a little bit, but it's nice to come back.
And then, how long were you overseas before you finally got back to Chicago?
Like a year and a half.
Not too far, not too
Yeah,
long.
I miss Chicago though. I mean, the crime's terrible, but that's only like certain pockets.
So, yeah, tell me briefly how you got into wholesaling.
I guess you could say when I started, I had a consulting company. I still do. I named it after my Alpha 229 training battalion where I was at. It's called Alpha Consulting, and that's what I was doing. And that's why I was in Germany and stuff like that. I was doing consulting for businesses. And then, I mean, it's great money, but I was like, "Man, I want more, you know?" So I was like, what skills could I develop where like I could virtually make money basically? Cause you can't be in every state. So
No.
I started looking up stuff and then I found a couple mentors and then, yeah, that's how it happened. I started learning, I invested some money up front. At first I was like, man, is this going to work? Did I just waste like 5 grand? And then I could finally started hitting my first couple of deals, and I was like, "Man, this stuff really works. Like, you know what you're doing." And hired like a marketing company to get me off market leads because that was the thing. I was just like dial on prop stream and just 300-400 dials to maybe talk to one person. And I was like, this is not scalable. Like,
Right.
I need to like look at how I can make this easier. So yeah, I got a marketing company now. I got like dispo managers. And just started. It was awesome, man. The journey's been great.
That's awesome. And so now, when did you start? When did you start your initial training until you got your first deal?
I started last November.
Okay.
And I learned everything pretty quick because I was just like day and night studying and like going over all the contracts my mentors would send me and all the videos. I was just really dedicated. And then I think end of December, I knew like, all right, I can make some money with this. So I opened up an LLC, the Herrera Capital Group LLC. And then January, I started dialing. The second month, I think that's when I got my first deal. And like I said, it was like a hard, like just dialing all these numbers and ended up being in Detroit. And that's when I just reevaluated everything and just been going ever since. So I think, yeah, my first deal was like the beginning of February. And then March, it was just like exploded. Like, I think I did like 10, 12 deals in March.
Yeah, and good for you,
Uh,
man. And that's only like, 4 months into
yeah,
becoming a wholesaler.
that's what everybody was telling. Like my mentors are like, dude, you like, I think in March I made more than my because we were like talking crap to each other. He's from New York. We got the same kind of like personality.
Yep.
And he's, dude, you beat me last month. I'm like, of course I beat you, man. Here's the wires. And he's like, screw you. Don't get cocky. I'm like, I'm gonna beat you in April too, buddy.
Yep.
Just like talking crap to each other, but it's all love, man. I always tell him, like, dude, I appreciate everything you've done for me. I'm very grateful to have met you. He's like, yeah, dude, you're a fucking rock star. But yeah, that's how the journey started. And it went quick. Like now I'm making more money wholesaling than consulting.
And so I'm assuming that you're going to keep on wholesaling instead of back what you were doing before. Just kind of like
Yeah.
get rid of that.
I'm going to keep both the consulting. It's like virtual contracts. I don't have to go on site.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I got some like pretty big names too. And it's only two of them. And like the security clearance helps and it's not a lot of hours, maybe like 2, 3 hours a day.
Right.
And that really pretty much pays the bills. So I think I keep that on the side and then real estate, like the real money. So it's just, I'm going to keep both going, but yeah, I'm full like 90 all into real estate now. I'm definitely 100% in on this.
So what's your main task in the company right now? Are you literally just managing everybody else, or do you still have your hands involved in some of the steps of wholesaling?
Yeah, so I manage, I think it's one, two, three, like 4 or 5 people. It depends. So like if it's like a big deal the hedge funds, I have the one hedge fund that I specifically work with, the one you sell me close on. They were my first real buyers and like their ARV that they pay out is like really high. So like I handle them personally. And then I'm still involved in the negotiations too, because my brother's like, yeah, you should just let us take that over. I'm like the deal that we closed, like the She tried to back out.
Yep.
I had to get her a portable charger from Walmart. I had Kaylin from the hedge fund go pick it up so her phone wouldn't die. I had to call Con Medicine South to get her lights cut back on. I paid her HOA fees like up front. Like nobody's gonna do that for you if it's not their money.
Right.
So like, I told them, I'm like, I need to be hands on still. I don't want to, because I would have lost the deal. A lawyer tried to cut me out of the deal and tried to call me. He's like, yeah, you need a cease and desist, all this stuff. I'm like, dude, show me where she signed. That
Whoa.
you're going to represent her. And I found out he was just trying to take the deal from me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like straight scumbag, man. He was trying to take the deal from me. And I'm like, do you know how many deals are? You're just going to try to steal my deal. But I ended up calling the owner back, and then we talked about it. And he's like, "Yeah, he's going to give me the same amount as you, but if you can, if you can get my lights back on." And so I had to like jump through hoops. Like this lawyer is like threatening to sue me. I'm like, this is a lot of money. I mean, if you want to sue me, do it. Like
Yeah.
my sister's a lawyer, so I'm like, just do it. And yeah, so I had to go through hell. But my point is like, no, but if I had to hire somebody to do it, wouldn't have.
No, that just goes to show right there that the rapport that you've built with that client is actually what sealed that deal. Had nothing to do with this attorney
Nothing.
and what they're trying to do, go around your back, do the shady ass business.
Yeah.
And yet, because of your credibility, your rapport building skills, and the extra steps that you're willing to go, that basically no other wholesaler really is willing to do. Hence the reason why you got the deal locked up, which is amazing.
It were, and I showed a lot of empathy with her. Like she was getting, it was like an auction day coming up, and she didn't have any food. I bought her like 19-foot long subs to put in her fridge to hold her over till we close. Cause like, dude, I'm a human too, man. I have
Yeah.
heart, and I felt bad for her. She's like older lady, and the guy was trying to give her like what she owed plus like 150 grand, and I was like, I'm not, I'm gonna give you what you owe plus 250 grand. And I'm still gonna get money. Like, I try to keep my ethics, like military ethics. I try to keep that with me my entire life. I know it sounds like corny or cheesy or whatever, but that actually, like, I mean, I always say the army turned me into a man.
Yep.
Really did. Like, being from Chicago, as you see on the news, it's a bunch of not good things here. So I was just like, I'm always grateful for the military and I carry those values like everything I do. So I was like, I'm going to give you as much as I can where I can still make a decent amount.
That's right.
I'm
That's
not gonna screw you, so, like, I'm not gonna be greedy out one deal. So I think that's what, because she's always like, "Oh, yeah, I appreciate your empathy. I appreciate you going above and beyond." Told me she had no food, man. I'm like, "No food? I'll send you a bunch of footlong sandwiches.
yeah. Right.
Just put them in the refrigerator." Got her, like, a charger, like, even the hedge fund was like, "Man, you're, like, really, like, showing a lot of empathy to her." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not a $1 billion hedge fund, and, like,
Right.
I grew up poor, so I'm not you got they're from the OC, LA." So I'm like, "Yeah, you guys probably wouldn't understand." So
No, no.
whatever.
They definitely wouldn't, they
No,
had access to way better things than we have.
no,
Food, places to live, shelter, you name it, like, they've had it, and they haven't grown up for it, so they don't really quite understand. And I see
no.
a lot of people that's the way they think as well. They haven't had the experience, they haven't had military experience, they haven't had real world experience, other jobs. It's just, like, straight out of high school, and then they just see some guru on TV and they
Yeah,
try to just follow what they're doing, and they just piss off so many sellers and screw things up and then just make a bad name for people like yourself.
wholesalers, that's another thing I realized when I talked to some agents, like, "Oh, you're a wholesaler, I wanna talk to you." And at first I was like, "Why not?" Like, "I have buyers, we can make a deal, like, you
Yeah.
can pay me." And I realized it's because there's a lot of scummy wholesalers who, like, don't follow, like, the rules. Like, I'm trying to close one in, California right now, and my brother was telling her because we got her, like, a transactional or no, it was like, pre-approval, so she can just basically get a walk. I mean, he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna tell her she'll get approved." She signed them. You can't do that, dude. You can't lie. It's not she has to get her own funding. This will just let the realtor, like, let her see the house, but she needs to apply. And I ended up getting her, like, a lender in Idaho or whatever, but that's, like, little stuff like that. I feel like wholesalers do a lot and come off scummy, and they give, like, everybody a bad rep. So, like, I specifically don't lie. I don't do anything, like, unethical because I don't want to have that rep at all.
I 100% agree with that, man. I couldn't have said it better. It's exactly how I am too. As you already know from my wall, I've got my police flags, I've
That's
got my
awesome.
flag.
Thanks for your service.
So I appreciate it. No, ditto. Absolutely for sure. So I come from that same kind of mindset as you do, so I totally get it. And it's always nice to be talking to others that are out there that really understand, who actually know how to take care of sellers and think about them just like an extended family, if you will. You're there to provide value and serve them. But on the flip side, you also got to be able to make sure that you take care of you and your end buyer. But there's so many fish in the sea. There's plenty for, things to go around. You don't need to be that attorney that's going to go around somebody else's back.
Scummy Los Angeles attorney. Go figure.
Golly.
Like,
If he's done it to other people too, or what?
yeah, I looked him up actually. He said he was foreclosures. So I think he just represents people. And I looked up like the process and stuff. So what he was going to actually do is the deal from her, tell her, promise her a certain amount, then make her like eventually try to do a short, like hit her where it hurts after he's like got her trust. Basically, not even give her the amount to pay her off. Like ruin this lady's life just to make a buck. Like, dude, you are like scum of the
And
earth.
that's the thing is like they're in the business here that they have access to countless deals. Why do you got to go after somebody like that? You can make a smaller amount on more deals and make everybody happy and get far more referrals and repeat business than doing something shady, some shit like this.
Yeah, dude. The crazy part is like she would like literally tell. I'm sure she told him like my electricity's out, like my insulin's gone bad. Like, guy didn't give a shit. He just wanted to. I'm like, dude, how can you? I don't know, man. I don't judge. I'm not perfect by any means, but I just would never do something like that.
No, I got to be able to
If it's
sleep
part
at
of
night.
my deal, I really not making money. That's just
I'm agree. I mean, I've got one right now. I'm about to make probably two, maybe 300,000
it's
on a
awesome,
flip,
man.
and it's a grand slam. And it's a scenario where this medical issue, the family's having to take care of her. She's still alive, but long story short, they came back to me and was like, "Hey, here's my bottom floor number that I want." And I said, "Hey, in a perfect world, what number would work for you? And are there other medical bills and other things like that that we need to be aware of?" And they gave me their perfect number, which was $50,000 more than their base. And I'm like, wow, I'm still going to be making a way too much.
Awesome,
So I
man.
was like, they know the condition and they've already talked to a family member who is also an agent. So I'm like, okay, they're getting representation from a friend who's an agent. So if they're comfortable with the number, then who am I to sit there and say anything different? So I did come back and say, and I tell you what, that price is honestly just too low. And that's more than I need to still make a comfortable spread. So I came back and was like, hey, I gave them a ballpark between $20,000 and it ended up being $50,000 more than what their max number was. And he literally came back and was like, "Hey, I'm happy with all of your numbers. Let's just split it in the middle." And I'm like, "Okay, everybody gets what they want. They're super happy. They're paying everything off, and I'm going to be extra happy." But I made sure that they had representation, and I wanted to make sure that they were comfortable and they knew everything. I mean, we went over comps like they knew, and I
Guys,
think in their mind, their rehab level was way higher than maybe mine was. But at the end of the day, everybody gets what they want, and so I love taking care of those types of folks, especially with that much spread. It's easy to kind of give back and it's easier to build that rapport and be completely transparent with them. And I tell you what, that's going to lead into God knows how many referrals
yeah,
just from that right there.
business. That's awesome. Like I love meeting people like you, man. It's, like you could have just took that 50 grand to the bank and like sucked out, but the fact that you actually try to help people,
Yep.
it's like there's actually still good people in this world that don't just try to anybody still for a deal.
I
Like,
agree.
obviously, keep your guard up. There's shady people everywhere, and you can kind of tell when somebody is. Like you're a cop. You can read people and stuff like that. So that's awesome, man. Congratulations. Huge, huge deal. Huge
Yeah,
spread.
it's gonna be a beautiful one. I'm not complaining. I'm ready for it. Matter of fact, I just went over there today. It's about an hour or so drive, and I just went over there today to help the guy move like three pieces of furniture. I was there 15 minutes and I was gone, but that's still like 3 hours out of my day to do something that I probably could have just called one of their neighbors, paid the neighbor 25 bucks and had him do it. But again, it's just part of that
Wow.
relationship building. You got to go out on a limb and take care of other people, regardless of how much time it takes.
They're taking care of you. And I was actually going to, I know you're in Georgia. I have like one buyer in Georgia who's really cheap. So if you know bars in Georgia or stuff, like we could probably do some deals together, man. I got the hedge fund I got and really like that pays me like really close to ARV. That's the Cali deal that we closed there in California, Texas, Colorado, Wyoming, Kansas, and Florida, a couple other states,
Okay.
30, 40 states. So if you ever have any deals or anything like bars, I'll send you after this, I'll send you my buy boxes.
Yeah, that's perfect because I still have a lot of other wholesalers reaching out that are always asking for those connections too, where you never know. It might be perfect that you've already got that hedge fund. I mean, I've got a boatload of hedge funds on my wall over here back whenever I was wholesaling. Now that I don't wholesale anymore, now I don't worry about it, but it's still great for other wholesalers that are always asking me, hey, do you have another contact? And that would be easy to kind of connect you with them and make some deals happen with you guys.
And I would obviously love to give you a finder's fee or whatever type of fee just to make it worth your time. And when I have a bunch of deals actually on my desk now from Georgia that I need to go over. So I know I'll send them over to you. And if you have any end buyers for that, we can negotiate some kind of split.
Right on.
What is happy, man.
Yeah, and if it's something, again, that's the only place that I buy for my own fix and flips and primarily rentals. But nowadays, with interest rates and just the values of housing, it's kind of hard to find as many of the rentals without going much further outside of my buying box.
Um,
No, most of the time it ends up just being flips, really, right now.
yeah, if you and send me your buy box too, because like I'm like, oh, it's a blessing to have just so many deals coming. Like I sometimes don't even have time to look at them all.
That's
So
right.
it's a blessing, and like I said, I like to stay hands on, keep the integrity of my company high, and eventually I'll find people. Like a couple of my buddies are going to get out of the military. My best friend's in Ranger Regiment. He's the first battalion, and he's going to come back. They're going somewhere, and when he gets back, I told him like, "Hey, come work with me.
That's right.
I know you got the same core values as me. I know you're going to make us look good." So
Dude, that's awesome. I don't know how many police officers I tried to get out of the force and
yeah,
into real estate. And so you're doing the exact same thing. And my God, it's like one freaking deal can literally make you as much as you
would
had an
you?
entire year while you're on the front. Like, why be on the front line when you can be over here helping way more people and
Yeah,
still make a better living and be able to sleep at night?
and like time freedom too.
Yeah.
You could be in Florida while sipping a mojito and closing the deal. And that's a my friend sold his. He's been my best friend since we went to the military together. We did everything together. So I was just like, man, when you get out, you come working with me, dude. Like, he's like, yeah, I need to find a job. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're working with me, man. It's like, yeah, come. He actually got accepted in the Northwestern over here because he was in Ranger Regiment.
Okay.
It's like a top school. And I'm like, dude, congrats. So I'm 31. He's 30. So we're like not super young, but I'm like, hey, if you got Northwestern paid for, do it. I went to Penn State. I'm actually finishing this year.
Okay.
So better late than never, I guess. And I'm at this point, I'm just doing it just to get it done. So
Yeah, that's just it. You've already been this far. You might as well as go ahead and get the credentials. But the reality is, are you going to use it? Probably not.
never going to use it. I mean, help like even my consulting. I started off, and I tell the story all the time. Like, excuse my language, but I started off like I was like 18, 19, and I got into Walgreens corporate somehow. I don't know. I think they liked me. I had no degree. I'm sitting there with like a shitty suit, right? This guy's coming with like the Michigan State degree. I'm like, there's no way I'm getting this job. It was like an accounts payable, some BS role like that, and at that point, hazing was still okay, right? Incorporated, like nobody was all like sensitive, crying. So I literally had for the first month I wore a tag that said "coffee bitch" because that was like the ritual.
Right.
And I tell a story all the time, and that's how I got in. I got my experience through that, and then I like had companies eventually like reach out and like, hey, why don't you get your own LLC? We'll give you like a consulting contract. You have like more experience, like you have 10 years of Fortune 50, all this crazy finance forecasting experience. Like even if I hire somebody from Harvard, he's not going to know what you know.
That's right.
And then I remember I came back from Ranger School, and that's when like the company was like, "Yeah, we'll give you an LLC contract." I'm like, "LLC contract?" Like, "Yeah, just open up your own LLC and we'll pay you more, but we won't have to give you benefits." And I'm like, "Oh crap, I can start a company with this." And I never, the point is, I never had a degree. Never, like, I continued my education as I kept going, but I still don't have it, and I'm never going to use it.
Right.
But I'm done. You know, I just finish it. I'll finish what I start.
It's a good experience though, and led you now to where you are today, man. So that's freaking awesome. Well, I'm going to ask you two or three questions. You've already kind of answered a couple of them. Hurdles, for example, which I think you've already kind of answered that. Your biggest one or two hurdles on this specific deal that we just had in California, and I think one of them was, of course, power, getting all the bills paid for her, getting her caught up, getting food, on the table in the fridge, and then the attorney. Those sounds like some of the 2 bigger hurdles. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong.
That was a bigger hurdle. My stomach dropped when he called me because I was like, man, this is like a 80, 90 grand deal for me right here. Like this is, I was like, I never should have counted the money before I had it, life
That's
lesson
right.
I've learned multiple times and still don't. So I was, it hit me in the gut. I had to like, I was down for a day or so. Then I was like, no, I'm not going to let this guy take my deal. So that was the biggest hurdle. I think like, sorry, timed out. That was the biggest hurdle. And then it was our first deal with you guys. So man, I hope these guys everything goes smooth. I've never done a transaction with you guys. Obviously, it was like 1,000% smooth. As soon as I connected Michelle with like my escrow company, I barely had to check in. I mean, you guys just did it all. I didn't have to like be on you guys, which I 1,000% appreciate.
Absolutely.
So that was a big finding the transactional funding and then dealing with the lawyer and then all the like side hurdles like the food and stuff. But that's fine. Like I took care of that myself. But the transactional funding and the lawyer, which is probably like the two hardest things.
Oh, well, man, I'm glad that we were able to kind of step in and take care of that. That's the one thing I try to let a lot of our clients know. We're not a transaction coordinator, but it darn near feels like it a lot of times to our wholesalers because all they have to do is say, here's the closing company, and you guys have your docs. Let me know at the time of closing that the funds are in escrow and we're good to go. And that's about
Really?
it. Like we're constantly, kind of working with that closing team, checking in, even though it's not our responsibility to check in on title. We're doing it for two reasons. One, so that way we know on our calendar when those deals are going to be closing so we can schedule everything accordingly, but it's also an extra nice little, if you will, feature for all of our clients because then we can kind of say, hey, we know you're getting ready to close. Here's the closing date. And so many times the wholesaler are like, man, I didn't even hear from the closing team. I didn't even know closing was set on such and such date. We're like, we're on it because guess what? I used to be a wholesaler. I ran a wholesale company for years. So I know exactly what you guys expect and want. And the last thing you want is to be bombarded with all these other little tasks that you have other people like us that can be in there handling for it. And you need to be out there trying to acquire more deals and sell
Yeah.
more deals, not deal with bullshit transaction coordinator kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys were like the best. Like I was telling Nima, I'm like, yeah, I'm only using them from now on. That's why, man. If you could keep open the floodgates for California and all, I would appreciate that. Because Nima, he's just doing a deal. I don't know if you've seen that show, Selling Sunset.
No,
You
I
know,
don't,
where beautiful blonde chicks in California
not yet.
selling like $1 million homes. So like, I guess they're going to be like the sole escrow company for their new. It's called the Oppenheim Group in San Diego.
Okay.
Well, like, I'm definitely gonna stick with him because I know he's gonna have a lot of deals coming, and he has a lot of deals. But I told him, I'm like, yeah, you guys should just like network with them, and you guys could probably do some deals because I know he does some like on the side too.
That's awesome. And we've had more California, and I swear it's like I'm so close to just pulling out of California. And my assistant was like, maybe we could just change it up a little bit. And so we came up with everybody else that's been calling in now out of nowhere this week. We've literally had five more in California, and I don't even market in California because of this reason. I finally started telling everybody because we had again about three or four more headaches. Not it wasn't yours, but after yours, we had people who just don't understand the process or waits 48 or 72 hours between closings. And then there's always lenders that are more iffy when it comes to California lending. And it's almost a nightmare dealing with it. So I told Michelle, I'm like, look, in order for all these other people, in order for it to make sense for us, because we are finding that even part of it is because of the time difference as well, that our
Um,
funds, we don't even get our funds back for almost 3 days a lot of times in these deals. So I told her, I was like, the only way I'm going to keep it is maybe go to like 1.5% instead of 1%. It's better than completely nixing out California in general. And then at some point in time, if we realize more and more people are headaches, we'll probably just say, hey, whoever we've been working with, keep it with them, not accepting any more clients in California. So that's kind of on the fence, but I'm glad that at least we were able to kind of come in and move quickly for you, of course.
Yeah. And how was the dealing with the Nemo's escrow company? They got you guys your money in good time and everything was good.
Yeah, yeah, that was actually one of our smoother ones compared to most of the time. Like they understood. That's why I think I told you before. I'm like, God, thank you for actually finding a good title company
Yeah.
that knows what they're doing. Because guess what? At the end of the day, if they don't, it's just going to slow and piss off your seller. It's going to slow down your buyer and you, and it's just going to like bottleneck somewhere.
Yeah, and I went through like 5 escrow companies before I decided like, yeah, Nima, you're the one. Like he's gonna do whatever to get the deal done and make all parties happy. Which is why I think he started like a year ago and he's just booming everywhere with like wholesalers. I think it's why he's gonna do whatever. He wants to make you happy, he wants to make me happy and buyer happy. Like he's a really good businessman and a good person, just in
Yeah.
general. He's a really good person.
Yeah. And that was the first time I think, what was it called? VI Platinum or VIP escrow, I think is what it
Yeah,
was.
keep platinum escrow.
Man, yeah, definitely we're gonna have to start referring more folks over to them. And I might reach out to them as well as I build our new or kind of add on to our website. I'm gonna start probably finding wonderful, amazing folks like this to add to our quote unquote preferred vendors. So that way, if anybody reaches out, hey, who do you suggest in California? I'm just gonna send stuff over to folks like this.
Yeah, he's all over the country. So he's based in California, but he's in like 47 states.
I'll be darned, really.
Yeah, he's all over the country. That's I think you have his contact info, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely got the info.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to sell or whatever, let me know. Definitely call him and because he's in like 45 states, 47 states.
Dang. And then, with so many wholesalers like yourself out there, like you can literally weed out the bullshit wholesalers, stick with folks like you, and make
Uh,
an absolute killing of a business by just providing that service for folks like you across the US.
exactly. He even says, he's like, yeah, I turned out business for some people. He said he had like the daisy chain deals with like 5, 6 people. And I'm like, dude, I only do direct to seller.
That's right.
I might do a JV with like one partner, and then he has to know his ARV numbers. He has to be like on point.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna deal with you. Obviously, if he tells me, yeah, I'm direct to seller, like, okay, I'm gonna take your word for it. But, like, can I see the contract? Like, you can blur out the number. I've dealt with so many where it's like, yeah, I'm direct to seller, and then there's like 4, 5 people on the deal.
Yeah. Oh God, I hate that.
Dude, I don't want to do daisy chain deals, man. Like, just make a call, lock up with, yeah, I got the buyer. We can split it 50-50. That's fine, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd only do direct to seller. And I was telling my brother this, like, you're like confirming everything. Like, when I started this, like, there's a reason because he's like, no, you're not in the military anymore. You're too this, you're too. And he's younger and he's more wild. I'm like, bro, there's a reason that I do things the way I do
That's
because
right.
I'm going to have a reputation in this industry. And I want people to know, like, all right, when Herrera Capital Group gets on a deal, everything's clean, smooth, legit, no BS. I told him, he's like, yeah, well, I'm like, dude, he has a trucking company. I'm like, we're in 2 different ball
Oh
games.
yeah.
You hire like felons and stuff. Like you're all like high all the time. Like real estate is completely different, man. I'm trying-
That is, that is so freaking true.
Walmart, man.
So true. Well, one last question, and then I'll just kind of shut up and kind of give you the opportunity to kind of spit out a little testimonial that, of course, if you don't mind, I'll be able to kind of utilize for our website as well. But one of the
Absolutely.
last questions I had is, what in your mind, in your business, why do you guys double close versus a sign versus any other option? Let me know why you guys are double closing.
Sure. So as far as like for bigger fees, I know end buyers, some of them won't care. Some of them, the point is, I just don't want to test it. Like if you see I'm making 80, 90 grand on like a fee, you might, and they have the power at that point. They can come back like, no, we're not closing until you lower the fee. Like you're just, selling me a piece of paper, even though we know that's not true because we're sourcing the deal. Or you're a wholesaler, we're not just selling a piece of paper. Like I have a whole marketing team, but that's why I do it, is it's like, it's not your business what I'm making. I'm giving you a deal,
Yeah,
obviously, because that's why you're buying. It's just easier. It avoids that awkward conversation. And then you take title, and it's like you're, under my LLC, like I take title really quick. So then they see on like the summary sheet, like, all right, for a capital group is selling you this property. And it makes it everything easier and makes it more pleasant. It's just a lot better. Obviously, if it's like a 10K fee or something like that, 15, I'll just assign
Right.
it. But once we start getting into like the 30s, 40s and out, then it's like, I'd rather pay, with 1%, 1.5% and
Yep.
not the conversation.
Yeah, 100%, man. I don't know. I've lost some big ones just by trying to assign, and even though the communication was up there, all of a sudden a family member who was also part of it, who wasn't a part of all the initial conversations but showed up at closing, then realizes something different and then blows it up. And I've literally had people walk out 15, $30,000 at closing, and I was like, I'm solving every single freaking problem that you asked
Well,
for. And then now, because of some family member who has nothing to do with your deal,
nothing.
decides they want to be greedy. And then now look.
Yep. And if you just double close, you wouldn't have to deal with that.
Exactly. Yep.
Don't worry about it. Like, and then that way they don't like, because technically, if you don't double close, they need to see what the fee is because they get the summary. But when you double close, you just X any possibility of the deal falling. And it's worth the 1.5%. Like, if you're a smart businessman and you want to like close every deal, that's just the way to go. Once you get into like 15 plus, 20 plus fees, like it's weird because everybody's gonna make money, right? But people
Yeah.
like say you're making money and they get all weird. Like, "Dude, I gotta eat, man."
It's
It's
so crazy when that happens. Like, you will find some investors, the really good ones are like, look, I don't care how much money you made.
oh,
All that matters to
exactly.
me is, am I buying at a price that makes sense for me? Yes or no? End of story. Just like the military. I don't want, don't ask like how it got done. Did it get done? Yes or no? That's it.
No
Great.
excuses. You can either do it or not. Like,
Yeah.
no, but I don't give a shit. Just do it. Get
Yep.
it done.
Yeah.
That's how I would like once I'm growing right now, how with the wholesaling, and then I'm actually like by the end of the summer, I'm gonna start taking title to flips myself.
Good
Like
for
I
you.
got my eye on it and stuff, and that's how I'm gonna be. Like once I get into the position where I'm gonna be buying for my own company, that's how I'm gonna be. Like, dude, you don't have to double close. I don't care if you're making $300,000. If I can make good money too, like congrats. I don't give a shit, man. Like, I've been there before, and not a lot of people are like that. Like you said,
No, no, there's,
they
and I'm
see your
glad you
money, especially if ego comes into play. If it's a big,
forget it.
probably the guys in the suit 24 is, oh, you're making more than me. Oh my god, here we go. So I
Yep.
just don't close, I avoid it. Like, yeah, you work for a private equity fund, man. I work for myself. Like, you don't know what the kind where the competition is. They shouldn't be. We're making money. You're making. Yeah. So that's why I double close all the time. If it's like once I start to get to the 15s, I get nifty. I'm like, man, I should probably double close. I feel
Right.
working out. If I'm 20, 30 plus, I definitely double close.
I hear you on that one. Well, it's good to also hear that you plan on trying to keep some of your own deals here in the future for fix and flips. I'm assuming rentals as well, or just flips?
Yeah, so I have a couple Section 8s in Texas.
Okay.
So I have like 3 in Texas. It's just start, and I'm only gonna buy like where I'm gonna be a landlord in like conservative states because not that politics even matters because money's green, but like, they have more landlord friendly laws. Like they actually care about people who busted their ass to get to that point, and like they're trying
Gotcha.
to protect our assets. Whereas like here in Chicago, I would never buy a freaking rental because some guy can squat on my crap for like a year, and then the mayor will be like, "Oh, he was demonized by his community." Like we all come from the same community, lady. Stop giving people excuses.
That's right.
You gotta stop doing drugs.
That's right.
Just so I would never invest here for a rental, like a flip. Okay. And if like later on down the line, if you have any deals where it's like a good rental opportunity, or even like more conservative states, absolutely. Because then I know I'm protected. Like I'm not, I don't care about politics like that much.
That's awesome.
I want
Have
to
you
protect.
ever and here's and I'm just going off on tangents now that we're talking about these subjects here. Do you ever turn any of your notes into spreads just for or any of your spreads into notes, I should say, to
I
create a larger spread or to create passive income? Have you ever done that or
I
interested in
haven't.
it?
I'm familiar with the strategy, and it's really smart strategy. Like you just act as you can, get your interest. It's lower than what the market offers, so it's a win-win for everyone. It's genius strategy. But I'm right now I'm trying to. So I want to have like a good year
Okay.
of wholesale, and then like picking up little properties on the side, and then I want to like venture out into like all right, selling notes or even picking up notes. That's like a really really good idea.
And the sooner you can, I mean, obviously, the sooner you can start picking up rentals, the better off you're going to be because depreciation and everything else is going to be able to help reduce your AGI, pay less taxes. That's number one. The other is when it comes to those notes, as soon as you know, which I think you're honestly already at that stage right now if you want to, because you've already got your what used to be your primary, but now your side hustle, you've got bills being paid. So
Uh,
now your wholesale deals, it's not going to work for everybody. It usually works more for buy and hold investors more so than it would fix and flippers, but it can work in both scenarios. So really quick, let's say it's a flipper. Instead of saying, hey, it's a $20,000 spread, you know that they're going to flip it. They're going to sell it within 6 months, most likely. What's the point of creating a note? 6 months, you're going to get the money back. That's the mentality, right? But what you can do is, let's say it's a $20,000 spread. You can say, hey, Mr. Investor Buyer or whatever, I know how important that capital is. And that $20,000 that I'm about to get, you might be able to use for either a down payment on another house, or you can use that $20,000 to help fund your project. That could be your initial fund that you're using on your project while they're waiting on their hard money lender to then send them a draw. So now what you do is, instead of charging them $20,000, you charge them 23, 22, 24, and then say that it's due within 6 months.
yeah,
A
like a
balloon note
balloon.
within 6 months, and hopefully they sell it before. And then guess what? Instead of making 20, you made 23. So that's with the flipper. Now, the buy and hold investor, same thing, 20 grand spread. Buy and hold investor, even more important and even more valuable to have that extra 20K of capital sitting in that investor's bank, because now they can not only buy your house without any money down, but put 20 on another wholesaler's deal and buy two houses for the same price. And then what you do is charge them the $20,000 note over 5 years, 10 years. I would try to do the longer, the better. 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, whatever you want to do. And then charge them 6, 7, 8%. Because right now, if they try to go get a DSCR loan, their minimum, if they're absolutely lucky, is probably 6.5, but more likely it's 7 to 8%. So
That's
if you're
how.
charging them that same amount or less, guess what? You now become the bank. That 20 grand over the next few years becomes 28 or $30,000. And then if you do 10 or 20 of those, you're literally now every single month getting a mailbox paper check or a wire, whatever. But just for this intents and purposes, you're going to get a check in the mail from every one of those deals. And let's say each one's 150 bucks a month. You get 20 of those and you've got like almost $3,000 a month coming in. You can now literally, if you had to, take time off work. If an accident happens and you're stuck in the hospital, who gives a shit? You've still got money coming in every month without having to do anything.
That's genius.
So
That's
it's a
genius.
great way to have that true, true, true passive income,
Oh,
because a rental is not a true passive income. You still got
I was just gonna
management, you got
say, yeah,
headaches, none of that.
it's not
Here, it's
true
like,
actually.
yeah, this is like being the bank is truly the passive. And then if they don't, then guess what? You could foreclose on the house. And I can tell you right now, you're probably selling them a deal that has good equity and you already know it. And if they start putting money into the deal, they're just forcing the equity up anyway. So you're
You
just
get back.
protecting yourself even more and more by doing this
So are you charging so you are you charging the interest on the spread or the total value?
spread, because that's the only amount that you have control over. Everything else, they've either got their own lender or they've already put money down. You're just controlling your own spread.
That's genius. I've never thought about it. I've seen like seller financing on the total amount or stuff like with like the actual spread where you're gonna make. That's that's freaking
Yeah,
genius.
you're just second lien, you're just a junior lien to the existing primary. Or if
Yeah,
they're all cash, heck, that's even better. If they're all cash and they just got a minor 20 or $30,000 loan from you, that's 20 or $30,000 less that they had to bring out of their bank, and they can just have this little tiny loan for you. And guess what? You've got 100% security basically in that property. They would not default on your loan and give
that's
up a $200,000 property for your measly 20 grand. It's not going to happen.
that's genius, man. This is why I like connecting with people like you. You've done wholesaling longer than I have, so I'm sure you know a lot more. So that's awesome, man. That's I never thought about that.
It
That's a
it's fun. It's easy. I mean, it's one extra set of docs, but other than that, like, who cares? The closing company gets everything signed, they get it all recorded, and then here's the really cool part about that. because there's going to be 1098s that need to go out for interest payments and stuff. You can literally take your contract, send it to a third party loan servicer, and they now deal directly with the loan servicer, just like you. If you've got a mortgage, sometimes you've got a Bank of America mortgage they sold to some other place. Every single time they sell it to somebody else, it doesn't matter. You still now pay that person, and then whoever the original loan originator was, if unless they sold the loan, they're getting that monthly income. And so that's exactly what you are. They would pay the loan servicer pays you minus their fee. Fees are like 15, maybe 25 bucks, 15, maybe 15 to 30 bucks, I would say, to be honest with you.
Not deal with any of that.
Not to deal with any of that. Every single month, they create the statements, they create the paperwork to send out, late payments, all that kind of stuff. 1098s, all that's done through them at the end of the year. You pay your $15 to $30 a month. And it just depends on little things like, hey, do you want escrow? Do you want an escrow amounts? Which that's not going to be something you do. That's like an extra 10 bucks. So it's usually 15 to 25 in most cases. And
That's
when you're making, you know, when you're making 100 and 200 bucks a month from it, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, even if it equated to like 4.5% interest and 7.5%, you're making 4.5, net. Plus, you're eventually going to get your full 20,000 or $30,000 back. But the interest is what's amazing,
I mean, even 200-300 bucks, that's gas for the month. That's groceries. It all adds up. Every
dude.
penny counts.
Absolutely. And then the other cool thing is that it gives you time. Like right now, let's say that you do obviously you're going to do way more than this, but let's say that you did $50,000 every single month. You're going to be at what, 600,000 or so at the end of the year. In that 1 year, you're going to be paying the highest taxes, 37% taxes just for federal, not including state. So now instead of taking that 600,000 or 500,000 or whatever that you've got to pay taxes on in the first year,
Yeah.
because you're spreading it out, all of a sudden those 500,000 might really only be $60,000 at the end of every year for the next 10 or 15 years. Well, that sounds good, but it doesn't sound good. You're like, I still need money. Well, here's the beautiful thing about that. A, you've already got the side hustle paying your bills. But while you're creating those notes, you're also trying to keep some of your own deals and turn those into rentals. When you have a rental, that'll help offset a few of those notes. So let's say that you've got $500 coming in from three different notes. You literally might have $500 worth of depreciation negating that 500 profit that you were just making. So it reduces your AGI. So if you can reduce that down to zero, guess what? That $500, you don't owe taxes on it anymore.
Oh,
Now you buy another one or two properties. Well, now that adds another 500 a month depreciation to help offset those notes. So it
yeah.
gives you time slowly but surely to kind of build up at the same pace. It's never going to be perfect, but as long as you get the point, it's a great way to kind of save money on taxes, which just means more money in your pocket.
That's genius. It's genius. Definitely gonna look into that now.
Yeah, keep you posted. I'd be more than happy to kind of share some of those notes and stuff like that. So, very last thing, and I'll completely get off my tangents and everything else.
Oh,
And you can always
clear. I got all day.
you can always reach out to me and hit me up if I've got some more ideas. But I'll shut up now, and if you don't mind, just kind of speak to us. And if you were giving your testimonial, you can make it as short as long as you want. Don't really care. I'll shut up and kind of let you tell everybody how your experience was with us here at Wholesalers Transactional Funding.
Awesome. Yeah, my experience with Wholesales transactional funding was amazing. It was the first time I needed transactional funding. I had a huge deal. I didn't want it to fall through. It was a big spread. And it was easy. I just connected the wholesale funding with my escrow company and didn't have to do. I barely had follow up. I mean, it was extremely smooth. The pricing is absolutely fair for everything you guys do. I mean, you guys are my go-to now for double closes. So, I mean, the deal was amazing and I obviously highly recommend you guys. I was looking for transactional funding, there's more expensive places and it just was easier to deal with you guys than anybody else. So, I mean, you guys are my go-to absolutely now from now on for double closes. Highly recommended.
Yeah, man, I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much for again locating us and giving us that chance to be able to prove ourselves. And I'm glad that we're both on that same level. We understand exactly what kind of service we need to give everybody. and I'm glad that that kind of shined over to your company, man.